Raymond, do you remember when they said we were going to have a quarterback controversy here in San Francisco?
Regretfully, I do.
I don't think it turned out that way.
Sure as hell didn't. What quarterback controversy?
This is the Gold Cast.
Boom! Welcome to another edition of the Gold Cast. We are the voice of the Bay. I'm your host, Rudy Solis III, and with me is my brother, my co-host,
Raymond Solis the First, baby.
Boom! Raymond, here we are. We are back. It is our Week 4 recap. Eagles coming into town. Niners 6.5-point favorites. We had a huge episode last week. We expected a dominating win to come from this team. I believe, I'm not sure, what was your, do you remember your score?
I thought it was going to be something like 28-13, something to that effect.
Yeah, and I think I said like 21-31 or something like that. I was like the 8 to 10 point range. We all were taking the Vegas over. Bill Simmons on his podcast, when I was listening to him on Thursday, he famously said that he thought that the 49ers were going to lose the game, and he thought that too much effort was being given to him, and several other analysts said the same thing.
Well, I mean, if Bill Simmons knew what the hell he was talking about, I would take him seriously. It's Mullens is the one who did us in. It's not that we're given too much credit. We blew out two teams that we should have blown out with a bunch of backups, third strings, and fourth stringers. There's something to be said about that. The problem is when you're Bill Simmons and you cover all 32 NFL teams, you're not going to be a very good analyst when you cover games and spreads and things of that nature. So even though I love Bill Simmons and I like his podcast and I like when his friends are on there and they do a good job overall, he's way out of his element with that one. Even though he got the prediction right.
Yeah, he did get it right. Unfortunately, he was right. But it was quite a frustrating loss. Nick Mullens really doing us in, the dagger to our team being delivered by our own backup quarterback, Nick Mullens. That pick six in the final 5 to 6 minutes of the game pretty much put it out of reach for us. Kyle Shanahan was so pissed, he benched Nick Mullens, brought in C.J. Beathard. C.J. Beathard played out of his mind for like 4 straight minutes. It was very impressive. He ends up going for 14 of 19 attempts, 138 yards. Unfortunately, no touchdowns. Final play of the game ends with a kind of Hail Mary attempt that looked pretty close. I mean, it came really close to being caught, but unfortunately, they weren't able to do it. The 49ers lose in pretty frustrating fashion, 25-20. Philadelphia rallying and get that 14 points scored in the fourth quarter there. And just overall, a pretty frustrating game. Pretty much a very defensive game for both teams, right? Both teams played very strong defensively. They sacked Nick Mullens 4 times. Offensive line not giving us too many favors. Who were the people I wanted to see this week, Ray? What was one of the ones on offense? I said I wanted to see the offensive line, right? Remember I said that? I said I wanted to see the offensive line step it up and to keep the consistency from the week before. Unfortunately, that was not the case. They were unable to do that, and Nick Mullens was running for his life out there. Also not making it any easier on our poor backup quarterback is the fact that he couldn't really stay upright. On top of that, Carson Wentz, same exact thing. We sacked him 3 times as well, really putting the pressure on him. He did enough to win, and we did, unfortunately, enough to lose. And so it was just a frustrating game. Glad to see George Kittle back. He went for 15 receptions, 183 yards, and a touchdown.
George Kittle shredded the Eagles.
He sure did. Once again, they have to face
targets,
mask him.
15 catches.
Mm-hmm. Once again, Raymond, they had to face mask him to tackle him. That seems to be a common theme.
It's the only way to stop George Kittle is to try to rip his head off, apparently, in the NFL.
It's the only way. But overall, a great showing from Kittle. Jerick McKinnon doing Jerick McKinnon things. I love it. Brandon Ayuk with easily. I mean, Ray, back up a little bit. Show the people. Show the people. And in fact, here I'm going to show you guys because Bleacher Report already put this up. It's kind of hard to see, but it's my lock screen. Is Brandon Ayuk jumping over that Eagle defender. That was easily the play of the game. I started him in my fantasy league, one of my other leagues. He got me like 10 or 11 points. I was very happy. I was pleased.
He was fire.
I was a happy guy. Yeah, he was fire. He's pure fire.
He's got a little bit more athleticism than Deebo Samuel. I don't see Deebo Samuel leaping over people, although Deebo Samuel's still a very dynamic player. Don't get me wrong. We love us some Deebo Samuel here, and Deebo Samuel's more established than Brandon, but Brandon is quickly coming out of the flash of the pan and being a consistent contributor week in and week out.
Absolutely, and you're seeing more and more him integrated in. I look forward to the Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk combination once Deebo Samuel gets fully reacclimated back to the speed of the game. I believe that these two are going to be essentially what we were hoping Jalen Hurd and Deebo Samuel were going to be this year. It's going to be the Ayuk and Samuel combo. Maybe we get Jalen Hurd next year and we get all three. Let's hope. But those were the good things, Raymond. I'm going to turn the mic over to you. Let's talk about the negative things, because clearly we are now sitting at the 4th spot in the NFC West, and I know we're banged up. Arizona doesn't look that good, and they're at full strength. They have no excuses. We are pretty banged up, and I think now more than ever it's pretty obvious that Jimmy G probably has to come back. But let's start with the issues that you saw during the game.
Well, to me it started off with quarterback play. And as Johnny Dell, friend of the show, pointed out on his Twitter, at Johnny Dell, is that what it is? At Johnny Dell Football?
At Johnny Dell FA for Football Academy?
Yeah.
I believe
right,
that's
Football
it.
Yeah.
Shout out to Johnny.
Shout out to Johnny Dell. So he pointed out, just in case people missed it, that Kyle Juszczyk was really wide open in that opening series, on the opening drive, on the opening possession, and Nick Mullens missing him. That to me was the indication of what the game was going to be like for the quarterback if you were rooting for the San Francisco 49ers, which in our case unfortunately was the reality. So Nick Mullens was flat from the very beginning, and I'm not sure what it was, what he did or didn't do to stay sharp in this game, but for whatever reason he just did not have the moxie that he had in the previous game, that he's shown in the past, to the point where the journalists are going to ask their stupid, inane questions that we already know the answers to, but they have to try to do their job anyways and stir up a story, because that's the whole point of their job. And we saw exactly why Kyle Shanahan said that a quarterback controversy, or the possibility of starting Nick Mullens in the foreseeable future, excuse me, regardless if Jimmy Garoppolo is healthy, is not a scenario that exists in that room or on that team. We saw exactly why he said that. And Nick Mullens proved it, unfortunately. Proved it in a way, in the worst case scenario, meaning it results in a loss. There was the earlier pick he threw before the pick six. I mean, the game, had he been sharper, had the offensive line been given him more protection, because it was a combination of two. I don't want to put it all on Nick Mullens, because part of the problem was the offensive line not giving him much time either. And most quarterbacks in the NFL, with the exception of the mobile ones, tend to struggle when the pocket collapses faster than you're used to, because it's a rhythm sport and you need rhythm, and it's all about timing, especially depending on the play. And Kyle Shanahan plays are usually quick and short, but there are some plays that need to develop. And Nick Mullens did not have time to get the ball out to all of those players. Although the players who contributed were very sharp. Jerick McKinnon, we said to keep an eye on him. He was excellent, very effective. Clearly the number one back. Jeff Wilson Jr. was a ghost in this game. But Jerick McKinnon looked sharp. He had that one run where he cut back in the other direction because the hole got plugged up. Great vision there. Him and Raheem Mostert need to be the 1-2 back going forward when Raheem Mostert comes in, because he has really good vision, just like Raheem Mostert. Still think Raheem Mostert's just a hair better in terms of his vision when he hits the hole. But Jerick McKinnon, every other week, he seems to get just a little bit better, we're seeing. He's gaining that confidence back. He's clearly a better receiver than any of the running backs on the roster. So now we know what Kyle Shanahan was talking about. He's an excellent receiver. So that part is dynamite. Really good stuff out of him today. George Kittle came back and did George Kittle things. Jordan who? Jordan who? Jordan nobody. George Kittle's back. So at George Kittle, 15 targets, 15 receptions, over 180 yards, and a touchdown. If he is on your fantasy team, congratulations, you have George Kittle back. Look out, because he was absolute nails. Deebo Samuel flashed in his first game back. Wasn't heavily involved. I think he's going to get more involved going forward. And him and Brandon Ayuk are going to split time. It's going to be difficult. It's a good problem that Kyle Shanahan has, trying to decide who to get the ball to and in what situation. But knowing that he has now two weapons that can virtually do the same thing is amazing. You know, it makes me not think about the absence of all the guys that we pulled in the offseason and Jalen Hurd. Because now that Brandon Ayuk is progressing rather fast and living up to his first draft pick selection. First round draft picks are supposed to be impact players. Javon Kinlaw is still, flashing intermittently, but Brandon Ayuk is becoming an integral part of the offense, which is huge. This is exactly what we saw from Deebo Samuel last year, although we did see some early drops in this early going of the season for Deebo last year. Defensively, who did I want to look at? I wanted to look at Eric Armstead. Eric Armstead had a better game. He had the half sack. He had 6 quarterback hits. So, mobile quarterbacks are not the easiest thing for this Niners defense, unfortunately. But Eric Armstead played better. He was second on the team with tackles. He had the 1 half sack. He actually shared that sack with Kerry Hyder, who had another good game. Good for him. Jason Verrett, he played in the game, did all right. Solid performance. I wouldn't say it was horrible. It wasn't like Dante Johnson, who gave up some big plays. But Jason Verrett was okay. He didn't flash as much as I thought he would coming into his second game, but he was still, again, we're missing guys, so he got to start. No Mosley. Witherspoon was injured, so he was out. So I don't know what to say, Rudy, because when we had this problem a couple years ago, we fired the strength and conditioning staff and revamped the entire process. And now here we are again going through the exact same problem that really derailed the 2018 season. And although we're in a better position this year than we were in that season, because that season we lost Jimmy G in week 3. We didn't just get a sprained ankle, which is what Jimmy G has now, which means he can come back this week or next week. And we also had some other pieces too, but at the same, and we didn't have the defense that we had right now. But the problem is that these injuries are way too abundant right now, and we lost 2 more players this past week. We lost what's his name? I'm looking at the stat sheet right here. The defensive lineman that we picked up, he's gone. He has a torn bicep.
Oh yeah. Oh man.
He didn't do much, so I guess that's the good news. I mean, congrats to DJ Jones got a sack. Taylor got a sack.
Ziggy Ansah.
Yes, Ziggy Ansah tore his bicep, so he's done. So it's like no matter who we bring in, they're just falling like flies. I don't get it. What kind of weird energy is happening with this team right now that's causing all these injuries? It's just really, really frustrating. And, before people start to comment, this happens to other teams. 2017, 2018, you should have seen the Saints roster and how many people they had on IR. It was a ridiculous number. We looked at a graph earlier today from Cousin Brian. But so it's not just exclusive to the Niners. There are other teams experiencing a lot of, heavy injuries this season. But it just seems, it's going to be, my point is it's going to be really, really hard to stay in the race. To me, if this continues, then our race is not going to be for the NFC West. It's going to be for the wild card. And that's where the playoff race is going to be for this team. Because right now, 2 games, now you're 2-2, you're last in the NFC West. Good luck when you have to face those teams if you still have all of these injuries to deal with. Because I don't see them coming out of the gauntlet with a winning record at this point.
Well, I think you're right, especially if we're going to stay injured, for sure. The other problem is, though, I think you are really seeing across the league. I mean, even the Monday night's game here between the Packers and the Falcons, you saw guys dropping like flies. Julio Jones didn't come back in the game. Calvin Ridley, ghost of himself. Like he hamstring issues. A lot of these soft tissue injuries, you're really seeing the importance of a proper training camp and preseason. The players wanted no preseason. This is something they voted for. The NFL didn't vote for it. They voted for it. And unfortunately, we are seeing the reasons why you need a proper training camp and a proper offseason, a proper preseason to prepare these guys to play. And it's just obvious that, unfortunately, due to this wacky COVID year, this is
even kickers. Do you see how many miss point after attempts there are this season?
Yeah.
There's a ridiculous amount. Even the kickers are off this year.
Yeah, and so that's the unfortunate part. The unfortunate part is that probably our season is going to be determined by which team can stay the healthiest. I don't understand how Kansas City seems to be just walking through this season like nothing's ever happened. They're like, fine, no one's hurt. They're just going through, getting tackled. Everyone's fine. I don't understand it.
They're out there playing backyard football. It looks so easy for Mahomes and company right now. It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. I'm very jealous. Very jealous. So, but it's a frustrating game. It's a frustrating season so far, and not the season that we hit. But if Raymond's preseason predictions are any indications, this should be the last loss of the year. So we should be okay. We should be right, Ray. 14-2.
Yes. We're gonna go on a 12-game win streak right now. So get ready, Goldcast, because the ride's just getting started.
Buckle your safety belts.
Oh my God! I am saying 10-6 if we're lucky.
Yeah, I'm saying 10-6 too. Well, isn't that about where Vegas had us originally?
I don't know. Vegas can kiss my ass.
That might be quote of the day. I don't know. Vegas can kiss my ass. That might be the quote of the day. But I don't know, man. I think there's not a lot to say other than let's just hope. I guess the main thing now we have to watch is Jimmy G going to be back. That's the main question. Is Jimmy G back this week? My gut says absolutely they bring Jimmy G back. I'm pretty sure they probably could have brought Jimmy G back this past week, but decided not to.
They probably could. They're playing it safe. They're like, hey, Nick Mullens is playing good. He's a solid backup. Why not give Jimmy the extra rest so that he can be 100%? But now you see the predicament you're in, because now Kyle Shanahan, the pressure's on. You're between a rock and a hard place. If you want to stay in this race, you better put your best horses in there. Simple as that. So yeah. Jimmy, and we know Jimmy wants to play. Jimmy's got tough moxie in him. So Jimmy's, in my prediction before we even get to Thursday, our preview game, is Jimmy will play Sunday. I'm saying that right now. Jimmy's going to play Sunday no matter what.
I think Jimmy plays Sunday no matter what, too, and then we see what this offense can really do again. Despite being hobbled on one leg, you saw that he really settled back into form in Week 2. I expect the same coming into Week 5. We'll talk about that, obviously, a little bit later in the week, but let's just hope we get everyone back, man. We've got Miami who kind of started off a little hot, but they definitely have fallen back to earth, and Miami's doing Miami things. So this is another opportunity for this team to stay competitive, for this team to get another notch under their belt, because that gauntlet's not going anywhere. Now, the great part is that several of those teams in that gauntlet don't look nearly as tough as they did before. Okay? I'd say one team looks tougher, which is the Green Bay Packers. That was the game that I had kind of penciled in to win. They actually look Aaron Rodgers is playing out of his mind. So they look tougher. The Saints are still getting wins, but it's not quite the same Drew Brees. We're seeing a little bit of a dip in the overall offensive production of that team. Hey, they still look great. They're still getting wins. Okay, but
right.
Not quite as deadly.
Michael Thomas not being in the lineup certainly helps that team. Alvin Kamara really coming into now I feel like last year he struggled as the #1 back. And I thought he was better the year before. Statistically, he was clearly better the year before when he was working in tandem with Mark Ingram before he went to the Ravens. And then he kind of struggled getting it, and he dealt with some injuries last year as well. But now he's really kind of improved upon last season, really stepped into that #1 running back role, and is obviously an amazing threat as a receiving running back as well. So, I mean, he's really kind of carrying this offense right now, in my opinion. I think he's doing it more than Drew Brees. Because, I mean, if a quarterback checks down, it's like your easiest throw. It's your default throw. It's what rookies and bad quarterbacks do to just, like, do something effective, even though it's not really effective if it's, like, 3rd and long and you're checking down. But in terms of Alvin Kamara, like, Alvin Kamara is a yak machine. So it's really helping carry that offense, because the acquisition of Emmanuel Sanders has been a missed opportunity so far for the Saints offense. They're just not really using him. They used him a little bit this past week, and he seems to have gotten a little bit more action the past couple weeks, but overall it hasn't been much coming out of him. So
well, part of the problem is that Emmanuel Sanders is a downfield threat. He's like a Brandon Cooks. He's a guy that runs north south and gets way out there and creates those big opportunities. And Drew Brees is just really struggling with that long ball this year. That Father Time is catching
Although
up to
he
him.
was, Emmanuel Sanders did some good possession receiving for the Niners last season too, in addition to some long ball stuff from Jimmy. But the Saints aren't using him the same way.
Honestly, I think they're wasting a lot of talent over there. I don't understand. He balled out for us on the Niners, so I don't understand.
It's weird considering the coach they have over there and his ability to typically, utilize all players at his disposal, but for some reason he's just kind of missing the ball with Emmanuel Sanders so far. But again, that is the Saints cast. That is the Who Dat cast.
The Who Dat cast.
If you really want to get some more information about what's happening with that NFL team, we are all Niners all day here. But the point is that the teams that we're going to face in 2 weeks' time is, there's going to be some opportunity there. If we get healthier by the time that comes, it won't be as daunting of a task because not all of those teams are looking sharp.
Yes. The Saints and the Rams have come back down to earth a little bit more.
Oh, my God, the Rams. The Rams struggled against the Giants, who we kicked the tar out of.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see. The only fan, I believe they only have one fan. I believe it's Louis B. I think it's the only person that roots for the Rams. So you're going to have to go to the Louis B. Rams cast. I don't know where that place, somewhere in LA. But either way, it's we've got one more week to put this together, and then hopefully we're fully ready to nail this thing come the Gauntlet 2, because I'm very nervous, and this is a season that quickly feels like it's starting to get out of hand. And so hopefully the players can come back. Hopefully the players can we can get past these soft tissue injuries and just play football the way we want to. That's all we're asking for. Otherwise, if we can't put this together, I see a 10-6 season. I see the Seahawks taking first place, Russell Wilson getting MVP, and us watching the playoffs from the sidelines or watching it from the wild card on from home. So hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully we keep it together. We're going to find out. But what say you, Goldcast Nation? Is Jimmy G going to start this week? Let us know in the comments. Go to youtube.com/thegoldcast and let us know what you think. And then we'll be back a little bit later in the week to preview Week 5, Dolphins and 49ers. Hopefully it's about bounce back game for us. We'll see. And so concludes another edition of the Gold Cast. We are the voice of the Bay. I'm your host, Rudy Solis III, and with me is my brother, my co-host,
Raymond Solis the First, baby. Let's get back on track.
Boom! We'll see you next time. Same Gold Cast time, same Gold Cast channel.